The national movement. So in our earlier lesson, we have studied about the organization, that is the Indian National Congress, the formation of Indian National Congress and the era of the moderates, how the moderates were working, how was the way of their working and what demands they were putting forward. So in our this lesson, we are going to study about the extremists, because by this time the extremists took over and there was a clash between the moderates and extremists. So we will study about the reason for the rise of extremists in Indian National Congress, then what was the course of action of the extremists, then the partition of Bengal, then reaction to the partition, then Swadeshi movement, the methods which was followed in the Swadeshi movement, then Surat session of Indian National Congress in 1907, and then we will study about the Surat split and the government repression. So first let's start with the extremists. So the younger group of nationalists in the Indian National Congress, led by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal, also called as Lal Bal Pal, that is Lala Lajpat Rai Lal, Bipin Chandra Pal Pal and Bal Gangadhar Tilak Bal, so Lal Bal Pal. So these three were known as Lal Bal Pal. Okay, so this group was extremely critical of the ideology and methodology of the moderate leadership. So we have studied about the methodology of the moderate leadership in the Indian National Congress, that they believed in the petitions and the constitutional way of working. So the Lal Bal Pal, these three of them, they did not believed in this methodology. They believed in radical programs for the attainment of their demands. So they were quite ambitious about their demands, and according to the extremists, the moderates with their elitist background did not succeed in making any effective impact on the masses. So this was the belief of the extremists. They said that moderates with their elitist background did not succeed in making any effective impact on the masses. In spite, the early moderates, they did not have any faith in the masses, and they said that masses are not ready for their indulgence in the movement. So that's why they kept the people away from the movement. But the extremists, they wanted to include the masses into the movement. That's why this was one of the reason for the rise of the extremists in the Indian National Congress. And these extremists were particularly led by Lal Bal Pal, Lal Bahadur Shastri, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Lala Lajpat Rai. Lal Bal Pal, that is, sorry, not Lal Bahadur Shastri, that is Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Sorry for the mistake. So what were the reasons for the rise of extremists? So the failure of the moderates to win any notable success other than the expansion of the Legislative Council of Indian Councils by the Indian Councils Act of 1892. So the extremists believed that whatever the way the moderates were following, they were unable to succeed to get any of their demand fulfilled, except the Indian Councils Act of 1892, which was also not liked by the extremists or the moderates themselves. So the famine and plague of 1896-97, which affected the whole country and the suffering of the masses. So this was also one of the reason for the rise of extremists. Extremists were quite unhappy with the behavior of the British government and the attitude of the British government towards the famine and the plague of 1896-97, which affected whole country. Then the economic conditions of the people became worse. So this was also one of the reason for the rise of extremists in the Indian National Congress. Then the ill treatment of Indians in South Africa on the basis of color. Then the Russo-Japanese War of 1904-05, in which Japan defeated the European power Russia, and this encouraged Indians to fight against the European nation, that is Britain. So these were some of the reasons for the rise of extremists in Indian National Congress. Okay. So other than above mentioned causes, the viceroyalty of Curzon and his reactionary policies contributed to the rise of extremist movement in India. So Curzon was also quite responsible for the rise of extremists in India, in the Indian National Congress. So Curzon considered that the main objective of his mission was to strengthen the roots of the British Empire in India, and he curtailed the number of Indians in the Calcutta Corporation and increased the official control over the Indian universities in the name of educational reforms. So by this the extremists were quite hurt, and that's why this was the reason for the rise of extremists in the Indian National Congress. And Curzon also spent Indian money lavishly on foreign missions, and the Delhi Darbar and the Tibetan expedition was also one of the reason for the rise of the extremists in the Indian National Congress. Then Curzon's high-handed action forcing the partition of Bengal against the will of the people earned unpopularity and alienated the educated classes from the British rule, and that's why the main reason was actually one of the reason was the partition of Bengal, which was quite important for the rise of extremists in the Indian National Congress. Is the image of Delhi Darbar. Then what was the course of action of the extremists? We have seen that the moderates, how the moderates worked, the way of working of moderates was quite different. Moderates believed in the peaceful agitation, that is constitutional agitations, and sending petitions to the British authorities in India, as well as sending petitions in the English Parliament. But the course of action which was adopted by the extremists in the working was quite different. So consequently, the extremist leaders such as Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Aurobindo Ghosh advocated strong agitation and mass action. See, remember this thing, moderates did not believe in mass action, but extremists pushed for mass action and stronger agitation. So the extremists differed in ideology and action from the moderates. They rejected prayer and petition method of moderates. They said that this prayer and petition methods, we cannot achieve anything, and Britishers will not give us anything unless and until we do a stronger agitation and involve masses in our agitation, that is involve people in our agitation. So the new leadership sought to create a passionate love for liberty accompanied by a spirit of sacrifice and readiness to suffer for the cause of a country. That is to, they sought to create a passionate love for liberty and accompanied by a spirit of sacrifice and readiness to suffer the cause of country. That is, you should be ready to sacrifice, even sacrifice for your country. So the extremists, they advocated boycott of foreign goods. So see, this is something different from the way of moderates. So now extremists, they advocated boycott of foreign goods, then use of Swadeshi goods, then national education and passive resistance. These were the ways which were adopted by the extremists. The extremists believed in this way, and they had a deep faith in masses, and they planned to achieve Swaraj through mass action. The leaders of this wing gave up the soft approach of appeals and petitions. So these leaders no more believed in appeals and petitions, and they believed in mass actions. So instead, they made radical demands and adopted strong ways of political agitation, that is, boycott of foreign goods, use of Swadeshi goods, national education, and passive resistance. So here you can see the burning of foreign goods, that is, boycott of foreign goods. So they had no faith in the good intentions of British government. The extremists had no faith in the good intentions of the British government, and the extremists aimed at achieving Swaraj, that meant complete independence from the British rule later on. Okay, initially the Swaraj meant the dominion status or the self-government inside the British rule. See, remember, the Swaraj initially, the meaning of Swaraj initially was self-government. Self-government under British rule. But later on, as the national movement passed, the meaning of Swaraj differed, and later on the meaning of Swaraj was said as a complete independence from British rule. Okay, so they considered that the demand of the moderate leaders for Swaraj was for colonial self-government. And Tilak remarked, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. And Aurobindo Ghosh said, political freedom is the breath of a nation. Now remember these statements, and the statements are very important from our exam point of view. The statements may be given directly into the question, and you may be asked who said this thing or who gave this statement. So remember, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it was given by Lokmanya Tilak, that is Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and political freedom is the life breath of a nation was said by Aurobindo Ghosh. So the most outstanding leader among the extremists was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He started a school and founded two newspapers, that is Maratha and Kesari. So this Maratha, this newspaper was in English, and Kesari, this newspaper was in Marathi. Remember this thing, this may be a question in our exam. Maratha was a newspaper in English and Kesari was the newspaper in Marathi. Then both the newspapers, by their fearless criticism of the government, attained great popularity. These newspapers were very popular and very famous in the region. And in 1890, Tilak opposed the Age of Consent Bill on the ground that a foreign government had no right to interfere with Hindu religion and social matters in 1893, and also sponsored the cow protection movement. So he also opposed the Age of Consent Bill, and he said that the foreign government has no right to interfere into the religious matters of Hindus. Then the Bal Gangadhar Tilak reorganized the festival of Ganpati, that is the Ganesha festival, and started the Shivaji festival. So these two festivals were started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, that is Ganesh festival and Shivaji festival, to revive the spirit of adventure and liberate the country from foreign domination. And Tilak advised the peasants to withhold payment of land revenues when their crops failed because of drought or famine. Now this was something radical which moderates did not do. Tilak advised that peasants should not pay their revenues if there was a crop failure or drought or a famine. So he called for Swadeshi and boycott of foreign goods, that you should not use the goods which are made in Europe, because this is one of the reason for the economic exploitation of India. Okay, so here you can see the Ganesh festival, which was this is one of the earliest image from the Ganesh festival, which was organized by Lokmanya Tilak. Then something important happened, which motivated or which paved the way for the extremists. So the partition of Bengal was a very important thing which happened in 1905 in early India. Okay, so Lord Curzon was the brain behind this partition, but by the time actual partition took place, Lord Minto too had replaced Lord Curzon as viceroy. Okay, so British government's explanation behind the partition of Bengal was, so British wanted to partition the Bengal, and the reason given behind this was Bengal was a very big state. So this reason was given, and it is very difficult to manage the administrative work. So this was Bengal, and it was divided into two parts. So the main reason which was given by the Britishers, the main reason which was put forward by the Britishers was Bengal was a very big state and very difficult to manage the administrative work. But it was different from nationalist view. The partition of Bengal meant something different. So the nationalists saw that divide and rule policy, as Calcutta was the hub of nationalistic activities, and division of people in terms of religious and linguistic demarcations. So it was actually a policy of divide and rule, that divide Bengal on the basis of religion. East Bengal and West Bengal. East Bengal they were dominated by Muslims, and West Bengal dominated by Hindus. So by the partition you will be able to divide people on religion, and this national activities, the nationalistic activities will be curbed. So this was the main motive which was behind the partition of Bengal. And if ease of administration was the only reason, why wasn't Punjab, Bombay or Madras partitioned? So this was a question which was asked by the extremist or the early nationalist, that if you want to partition Bengal on administrative basis, then why you are not partitioning Punjab and Bombay and Madras, because these are also a huge provinces. So how was the reaction to the partition? How did the nationalists reacted to the partition of Bengal? So there was a widespread political unrest in the province after Curzon announced the partition in 1905. Remember this partition of Bengal in 1905. Who was the viceroy? Lord Curzon. Curzon was the viceroy at that time, and many people in Bengal regarded this partition as an insult to their motherland, and there was a huge cry for unity of Bengal. And that time Rabindranath Tagore composed the famous song Amar Sonar Bangla, which later became the national anthem of Bangladesh after 1971, after the liberation of Bangladesh from Pakistan. Okay, so this Amar Sonar Bangla, this was composed by Rabindranath Tagore during the movement, the anti-partition movement, Amar Sonar Bangla. Later on this became the national song, the national anthem of Bangladesh. So the Indian National Congress protested this move to separate the province on communal lines. Indian National Congress also protested against this. Rabindranath Tagore also protested against this. So most of the Bengalis in western part protested against this step, which would also make them a linguistic minority in their own province. And there would be more Odia and Hindi speaking people than Bengalis. Okay, so this was a divide of Bangladesh, and this was on communal as well as a linguistic basis. And many Muslims welcomed this move, since they thought that most Muslims who were backwards in education and economic status in Bengal compared to Hindus would benefit if they were in a majority. So in East Bengal, Muslims would be in majority. That's why some of the Muslims supported the partition of Bengal, because they thought that when Muslims will be in majority, they will gain an advantage in education as compared to Hindus, because that time Muslims were backward in education and Hindus had some upper hand in education. So that's why many Muslims welcome this move. Then Lord Curzon also promised to start a university in Dhaka. So this was also a carrot which was shown to Muslims at that time, that you support partition of Bengal and I will start a university in Dhaka. Okay, so this was also seen as an opportunity for Muslims to develop in education and improve their standard of living. So the University of Dhaka was a carrot which was shown by Curzon to the Muslims in East Bengal. So the general protest in the rest of country was against this partition. The people saw through the divide and rule policy of British authorities. So the chief aim of such a partition was only to create a rift between the two communities and hampering the unity and nationalism in the country. So this was the main this was the main reason for partitioning of Bengal, because the reason which was put forward by the Britishers, that it is very big province and we cannot administer it, that was all, this was a fake. It had no, yes, the province was, the Bengal province was big and it was difficult to administer, but why was not partition? Then why was not Bombay also divided into two parts? Then why was not Madras was also divided into parts? So partition of Bengal was mainly because of the Curzon's policy of divide and rule, and he wanted to divide communities on religious basis. So the agitation had started much before the date of partition itself. On the date of partition, people observed a day of mourning. And Tagore asked Hindus and Muslims to tie Rakhis to each other as a mark of a protest. Okay, so a lot of Hindu-Muslim unity was shown at this time, and then Hindus were tying Rakhis on the wrist of Muslims, and both of them were taking a dip in the river, the holy Ganga river, and unity was shown on the streets. So this was a unique thing. Then a few Muslims were also against the partition. The Swadeshi and boycott movements in the national struggle started as a result of this partition, and people started boycotting British goods which had flooded the Indian market and had dealt to blow to the indigenous industry. Okay, so the partition did succeed in creating a communal rift in the country and even contributed to the birth of Muslim League in 1906. So in 1905 partition of Bengal happened, and in 1906 Muslim League was formed. Here's the image of the members of the Indian Muslim League, 1906. So again, so the partition of Bengal was going on, and against this Swadeshi movement was started. So Lokmanya Tilak took the movement to different parts of India, especially Pune and Bombay, and Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai spread the Swadeshi message in Punjab and other parts of northern India. Remember, this is Ajit Singh. He was uncle of Bhagat Singh. Remember this thing. Ajit Singh, uncle of Bhagat Singh. And Syed Haider Raza led the movement in Delhi. Now remember this. Syed Haider Raza led the movement in Delhi, Rawalpindi, Kangra, Jammu, Multan and Haridwar, and witnessed active participation in the Swadeshi movement. And Chidambaram Pillai, now this was a question in a UPSC exam. Chidambaram Pillai took the movement to the Madras presidency. Remember the leaders of the Swadeshi movement, Chidambaram Pillai, who took the Swadeshi movement in Madras presidency. It was Chidambaram Pillai who took the Swadeshi movement into Madras presidency, which was also galvanized by Bipin Chandra Pal's extensive lecture tour. So Swadeshi movement was started against the partition of Bengal. Boycott of goods was going on, protests were going on. Here is the image, one of the image of the protest during the Swadeshi movement. So the Indian National Congress took up the Swadeshi call in Banaras session in 1905, which was presided over by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. In Banaras session 1905, presided over by G.K. Gokhale, and took over the Swadeshi. And it supported the Swadeshi and boycott movement for Bengal. Okay, and the militant nationalists led by Lokmanya Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai and Aurobindo Ghosh were, however, in favor of extending the movement to the rest of India and carrying it beyond the program of just Swadeshi and boycott to a full-fledged political mass struggle. Now, the extremist leaders wanted to extend this movement to next level. They wanted to take this movement to other parts of country also. They did not wanted to limit this movement towards to the Bengal province only, but they wanted to expand this movement to whole of the India, and they wanted to go beyond this, beyond the Swadeshi and boycott. They wanted a full-fledged political mass struggle. So this was the desire of this Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal, and also Aurobindo Ghosh. So great emphasis was given to self-reliance or Atma Shakti as a necessary part of the struggle against the government. So Atma Shakti, self-reliance, was a necessary part of the struggle against the government. Self-reliance in words, self-reliance in various fields, that meant reasserting of national dignity, honor and confidence. And further, self-help and constructive work at the village level was envisaged as a means of bringing about the social and economic regeneration of the villages and of reaching the rural masses. So this was the way of working of the Swadeshi movement, and in actual terms this meant social reform and campaigns against the evils such as caste oppression, early marriage, the dowry system, consumption of alcohol, etc. So these were some methods which were used in the Swadeshi movement to the political awakening of the masses. So what were the methods which were used in the Swadeshi movement? So one of the major planks for the program of self-reliance was Swadeshi or national education. Swadeshi means to use the goods which were produced in India, and national education. Okay, so taking a cue from Tagore's Shanti Niketan, the Bengal National College was founded with Aurobindo as the principal. Remember this, Bengal National College was founded, its first principal was Aurobindo Ghosh, and it was based on Rabindranath Tagore's Shanti Niketan. Okay, so scores of national schools sprang up all over the country within a short period. So national education also became an way of agitation against the partition of Bengal and against the British rule. So in August 1906, the National Council of Education was established. So here is the image of a Bengal National College, which was formed on the lines of Shanti Niketan. Shanti Niketan was established by Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore. So the council, consisting of virtually all the distinguished persons of the country at that time, defined its objective as to organize a system of education, literary, scientific and technical, on national lines and under national control from the primary to university level. So the National Education Council was formed, and this council was told that the literary, scientific, and technical education should be designed on national lines and under national control from the primary to university level. So for that purpose, the National Education Council was formed for the promotion of national education. So the chief medium of instruction was to be the vernacular to enable the widest possible reach. Okay. So for technical education, the Bengal Technical Institute was set and funds were raised to send students to Japan for advanced learning. So the major agitation was going on, the national education was promoted, and for the technical education, Bengal Technical Institute was formed, and the funds were raised to send the Indian youth for study of technical study in Japan. So the Swadeshi period also saw the creative use of traditional popular festivals and melas as a means of reaching out to the masses. So the traditional festivals were, cleverly used for the means of reaching out to the masses. So the Ganpati and Shivaji festivals popularized by Tilak became a medium for Swadeshi propaganda, not only in Western India but also in Bengal. So the main festivals, the Ganpati festival and the Shivaji festival, which was popularized by Tilak, these festivals were used for the propagation of Swadeshi, and these were not only limited to the Western India but they were also spread in Bengal. So the traditional folk theatre forms such as Jatras, that is extensively used in disseminating the Swadeshi message in an intelligible form to vast section of the people. So whatever the folk art was there, it was used for the propagation of Swadeshi. So the newspapers also played a significant role in the movement. So the main newspapers were K.K. Mitra's Sanjeevani, then S.N. Banerjee's Bengali, Motilal Ghosh, Amrit Bazar Patrika, then P.P. Upadhyay's Yugantar, then Bipin Chandra Pal's New India, then Aurobindo Ghosh Bande Matram, and then Ajit Singh's Bharat Mata. So you can pause the lesson, you can write it down in your copy, the name of the newspaper and who was the owner of that newspaper, and you can memorize it. You may get this question in Match the Pair, or you may be asked this in the statement also. So this is important, IMP. Pause the lesson, write it down in your copy and memorize this. So the Surat session of Indian National Congress in 1907. So Congress split at Surat came in December 1907, around the time when revolutionary activity had gained momentum. So we have seen that the movement was taking momentum and it was spreading all over India, and the Swadeshi and boycott was going on. So at that time there was a the differences came out between the Congress leadership. So at that time the Congress was, earlier the Congress was dominated by the moderates, later on the extremists took over and they had a huge following in the youth. So what happened? So run up to Surat. So in 1905 at Banaras session of the Indian National Congress presided by Gokhale, that is Gopalakrishna Gokhale, the moderate extremist differences came to the fore. Okay, we have seen that at the Banaras session, which was presided by Gopal Krishna Gokhale in 1905, this session the differences between the moderates and the extremists came to front. So extremists wanted, so what was the reason for these differences? So the basic bone of contention between the extremists and moderates was the extremists wanted to extend the boycott and Swadeshi movement to regions outside Bengal, and also to include all forms of association, that is government service, law courts, legislative council, etc. within the boycott program, and thus start a nationwide mass movement. So extremists were of this view that we should include in the boycott of government service. So we should boycott government services, we should boycott law courts, we should boycott legislative councils also, and we should extend the boycott and Swadeshi movement to regions outside Bengal also. So this was the opinion of extremists, Extremists wanted the nationwide mass movement. They wanted to extend that movement. They wanted to spread the movement. But moderates did not like this. Moderates, they had a different view. The moderates, on the other hand, were not in favor of extending the movement beyond Bengal. They wanted to limit the movement up into the Bengal only, okay, and were totally opposed to boycott of councils and similar associations. So the moderates did not wanted to boycott the councils and the other associations, and they wanted to limit the Swadeshi and boycott movement to Bengal only. They did not want it to extend the movement outside the Bengal. So the moderates advocated constitutional methods to protest against the partition of Bengal. So actually the differences were extremists wanted the agitation to spread all over India and they wanted to boycott the council and other associations, but moderates, they did not wanted, they wanted to limit the process, the boycott and Swadeshi movement to Bengal only, and they wanted to protest against the partition of Bengal by constitutional methods. So these were the basic differences between the working of the moderates and extremists. So at the Calcutta session of Congress in December 1906, extremists wanted either Tilak or Lala Lajpat Rai as the president, while the moderates proposed the name of Dadabhai Naoroji, who was widely respected by all the nationalists. So at that time, extremists wanted Lala Lajpat Rai or Tilak to be the president, but moderates wanted Dadabhai Naoroji to be the president in 1906 at Calcutta session. Okay, finally Dadabhai Naoroji was elected as the president, and as a concession to the extremists, the goal of National Congress was defined as Swarajya or self-government. So 1906. So again, the differences were settled in 1906 in the Calcutta session. So in the Calcutta session, Dadabhai Naoroji, who was respected by both the parties, Dadabhai Naoroji was respected by moderates as well as extremists. So extremists, they agreed for the presidentship of Dadabhai Naoroji, and in return they got the motto of Indian National Congress, that is the goal of Indian National Congress as Swarajya or self-government. Okay. So a resolution was passed supporting the program of Swadeshi, boycott and national education in 1906 at Calcutta session. Okay, so the extremists wanted the 1907 session to be held in Nagpur. Okay, every year the session used to happen. So in 1906 at the Calcutta session, a resolution was passed supporting the program of Swadeshi, boycott and national education. So extremists were quite happy. Now the next year, the extremists wanted the 1907 session to be held in Nagpur, that is central provinces, with Tilak or Lala Lajpat Rai as the president, along with a reiteration of the Swadeshi, boycott and national education resolution. Okay, and the moderates wanted the session at Surat in order to exclude Tilak from the presidency, since a leader from host province could not be a session president. Okay, so here is could not, sorry for the mistake. So the moderates wanted the session to be conducted at Surat, and the extremists wanted the session to be at Nagpur, because Nagpur at that time was in central provinces and Tilak was not from central provinces. Tilak was from Bombay province, so Bombay presidency. So the Nagpur was not his home province, that's why he can be a president. So the extremists wanted Nagpur as the center of the session, but moderates wanted Surat to be the center of the session. And so the moderates wanted Surat to be the venue of the session. so that they can exclude Tilak from being the president. Okay, so instead the moderates, they wanted Raj Bihari Ghosh as the president and sought to drop resolution on Swadeshi boycott and national education. Both sides adopted rigid positions. Okay, so both the sides, the moderates as well as extremists, they adopted a rigid position, and at the end a session was held at Surat. So the split became inevitable and the Congress was now dominated by the moderates, who lost no time in retreating Congress' commitment to the goal of self-government within the British Empire and used constitutional methods only to achieve this goal. So at Surat session in 1907, the moderates, at that time they were able to gain whatever they wanted, and that time there was a split in Surat, and the extremists were they were taken away from they were sent away from the Congress, and now the Indian National Congress was totally dominated by the moderates. So extremists were expelled from the Congress in the 1907 Surat session, and this session and this thing is called as a Surat split, in which the Congress was divided into two: moderates as well as extremists. Okay, so here is the image of a Surat session of a Congress. So government also played a game. They saw that now the Congress has split into two parts, so government launched a massive attack on the extremists. They saw that the extremists do not have support of moderates, so using this opportunity, government launched a massive attack on extremists. So between 1907 and 1911, new laws were brought into force to check anti-government activity, and the new laws were Seditious Meeting Act 1907, the Indian Newspapers Incitement to Offences Act 1908, then Criminal Law Amendment Act 1908, then Indian Press Amendment Act 1910. So these were some laws which were used against the extremists, because now extremists did not had support of moderates, and moderates were not ready to support extremists, and moderates started to believe. They again adopted the same way of the pre-petition method to gain whatever they wanted, and this way extremists were curbed by the laws which were passed between 1907 to 1911. So that's all about the moderates and extremists in the national movement part 1. So in our next lesson we are going to study about the early revolutionaries.